During this encounter, at this time, was Mr. Rincon holding his phone an illegal act or crime?
Well, he was going to make a detention. You lose that phone immediately. That's it. Because you'll be surprised. You stay with the phone, guess what you're going to do? You start recording the screen, if you're not careful, and then they post it on social media. Remember, you're limited to how much you can record me. Because I'm stopping you, and you got a rifle, and you're refusing to comply my orders. I mean, you were holding a rifle too, buddy. You were holding a rifle, a cell phone, back and forth, and like, what's he gonna do? You know, record it, or what's he gonna do? It's obvious you don't like the law. You displayed it that night, you know, or have a problem with the law. Most people do not. 9 out of 10 encounters, people are so cooperative, especially in this area. I've never had anything like that happen. For ID purposes, if you refuse to hand it over by your own volition, then carefully grab the wallet, preferably in front of the camera, so you can see what you're doing. You know? That way, the ID, I don't go in there and take everything out. No, just to see the driver's license and look at you and run traffic. I got confirmation that it is who he says he is.
Do you recall how many vehicles do you have?
What does that have to do with anything?
We are on the record. This is a video deposition of Officer Arturo Benavidez in the matter of Ismael Rincon versus City of Laredo, Texas, et al. Cause number 521CV45, pending in the United States District Court, Southern District of Texas, Laredo Division. We're located in Texas Pictorial, 2611 East Elm Street, Laredo, Texas. Today's date is July 6, 2023. The time is 10:44 a.m. My name is George Gonzalez. I'm the Certified Legal Video Specialist and Notary Public. Will counsel please introduce themselves and whom they represent?
Alicia Cray, representing Officer Benavidez.
Ismael Rincon, I'm a pro se plaintiff in this case.
Mr. Benavidez, would you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm, under penalty of perjury, that the testimony you're about to give today in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You may lower your hand. We may proceed.
All right. Morning, Mr. Benavidez.
Morning.
As you may be aware, I'm a pro se plaintiff in this matter, which you are being deposed. Ismael Rincon versus yourself, other officers to whom you worked, and the Laredo and the City of Laredo.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Do you mind if I refer to you as officer, or do you prefer any designated name?
Officer's fine.
Okay. Just want to let you know that I will try to make this deposition as brief as is reasonable. We are scheduled for less than a couple hours. Hopefully we can complete it in less than that time. In the questions, any reference to myself would be as Mr. Rincon, okay?
What?
Any reference to myself would be as Mr. Rincon,
Yes.
okay? If I ask you a question you do not understand, just let me know and I will repeat it or rephrase it. Otherwise, I think that we can proceed, okay?
Sure.
I'm going to go over a couple of things. I'm going to remind you that you're under oath, which means you've agreed and are required to tell the truth, and you plan to do that, right?
Yes, sir.
For this deposition today, we're going to try to preserve a clear record. So when I ask a question, I would appreciate a yes or a no for an answer using ordinary words instead of hand gestures to make it clearer for a transcript. Also, if you would like to take a break, you're welcome to. Just let me know, and we will. However, I'd like to ask we not break in mid-question. Do you have any questions for me?
No.
We have Exhibit 3 and 4 I will be referring to as body camera and dash cam of Officer Benavidez from the April 27, 2019 encounter in my property. This footage was provided by Laredo Police Department in response to my later public information request. Exhibit 5A through C referenced in this deposition referred to footage from my cell phone camera in the same incident. Will you please state the name for the record, your name for the record?
Arturo Benavidez, retired Laredo Police Department officer.
Are you currently taking medications that would interfere with the ability to complete this deposition today?
No,
Do you have any medical conditions that would interfere with the ability to proceed with depositions today?
as long as I can remain seating, yes.
Did your attorney help prepare for this deposition?
Objection privileged.
Who's your current employer, sir?
I'm retired as of February of this year.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What is your present job title? You're retired, right?
I'm a civilian.
How long were you employed by the city of Laredo?
Over 21 years.
Were you employed by the city of Laredo on April 27, 2019?
Yes.
What was your job title at the time?
I was assigned to a patrol officer in the Azteca area, District 2.
What is your present age?
64?
Were you born in the United States of America?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever been convicted of a felony?
No.
Have you ever been convicted of a crime of moral turpitude?
No.
Do you know what a crime of moral turpitude is?
Yes.
Can you explain what you believe that is?
It's just something that's out of the ordinary that contradicts my job description.
Do you have any convictions with that?
No convictions.
Have you ever been deposed in a federal civil lawsuit?
No.
Have you read the original complaint or any of the amended complaints in this case?
Yes.
Were you employed by the city of Laredo as a peace officer on the date of your encounter with Mr. Rincon on April 2019?
I had an encounter after the fact. I arrived to assist.
Yeah, let me rephrase, re-ask the question. Were you employed by the city of Laredo
yes.
as a peace officer
Of course.
on the date of your encounter with Mr. Rincon?
Yeah, I believe I already answered that.
Thank you. What was your schedule on Friday, April 26, 2019, and Saturday, April 27,
I was working.
2019, if you recall?
It was in the evening, the second shift. Second shift.
So it would be evening
2 to
shift
12.
or graveyard?
2 to 12, 2 to midnight.
Do you recall shooting? Do you recall the shooting of April 26, 2019, at approximately 10:30 p.m. involving Maria Barraza, the victim of Buckwheat Drive in Laredo, Texas?
It was all over the news, yes.
Was it believed by the investigators to have been a .50 caliber weapon fired from across the border in Mexico, whose bullet allegedly struck her in the cheek?
Objection calls for speculation.
You can answer.
Do you have to answer?
Yeah, you can answer.
Okay. That was the alleged.
Okay.
Because it's been happening for years. People just stop calling
Yeah.
unless they get hit or grazed.
Yeah. It was unfortunate, but do you know if that crime was solved?
No,
That particular
I
one?
had nothing to do with that case.
Okay. Do you recall what you were doing at the time of the April 26, 2019 shooting?
No, I don't recall.
You know?
Several years ago.
Did you appear in the scene of Maria Barraza's home at any time immediately following the shooting?
No,
Did you prepare and submit any report regarding the shooting?
No.
Were you alone on this call, or was there another officer with you?
On your call? On your call.
Right.
I only recall Ernie Elizondo and some Fernandez and some other ones that were in the dark. It was pitch dark. Pitch dark. We had no choice but to use as much illumination as possible. And I only remember those two.
Okay.
But I know there were more. But they were like back.
Right.
I'm not sure how many.
To your knowledge, was Mr. Rincon on private property?
Like I said, I was an assisting officer. I had to cross over approximately 2 miles plus to assist on the call on the computer display that we have, subject with rifle. So it took me a few minutes to get there. When I got there, I saw police officers, some drawing guns, and I saw you later identified as man having some type of argument as to your rights and lefts, and the officer was just telling you, can you just cooperate, make this short and simple. What I can tell you in all my years, besides PD, I was 15 in Webb County. In all my years of experience, never have I seen such restraint from these officers. They're all seasoned officers, number one, including myself. I would not have seen that. Different type of officer. These were seasoned guys. And then with all the rhetoric with police, it kind of makes you hold back and give the person a little bit more time. And not just go in there gangbusters. Very careful about that. That's something we had to go through, and they're still going through all over the world, all over the country. So I just saw a conversation between you and the officers. You wouldn't identify yourself. And the officers were calm, no screaming, no nothing like that. But I noticed something in your hands, so I get you up. And that, my flashlight, keeping on your hands is normal. I had a choice either to draw my gun, which I had every right, but I decided not to. There were some other ones there. And I was just lighting those hands up. I saw a rifle. That's a semi-auto. I know my rifles. And I just keep lighting you up. Of course, I'm on the tire with that flashlight. Switch over here. And it seemed like an eternity just lighting you up as much as I could, before my light went out. And so I just kept my flashlight on your hands, making sure, in my opinion, from what I've been taught, this is already, there's no such thing as a low ready down here or a high ready. There's no such thing. It's in your hands. At a flick of a movement, we're down. That's something we're taught, But they use the discretion. They're more senior officers. I let them do the talking. I did not interfere. I let the lead man talk, to the point that it was, in my opinion, a lot of leeway to you, Mr. Rincon, and incredible amount. I've never seen that in my career, but I understand why. The fear and all this anti-police stuff going on, and I understand why Ernie did that. Everybody was controlled by here, giving Ernie a space, and that's it. That was my purpose there, is to illuminate you, because I was really scared, because I know how quick that gun. I did not know your intentions. I didn't know who you were. That area that you were coming from what I heard, is a heavily trafficked area of smugglers and illegal aliens. It's common. It's right next to our park. It's a bat reservoir there. And it's super dark. I mean, you need infrared there, or a good flashlight. So I used whatever I was given, and I was just like, let me just, the only thing I could do is just light this man and just hear carefully. Time was ticking, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. You would not comply with simple orders from Officer Elizondo, and it was starting to get out like, this is too much. He has to understand that we're the law, we're uniformed, we had questions due to the fact that you were coming from somewhere from the bridge. Like I said, Border Patrol's always over here, right? Close to where you were walking, close to your property. I think you know that. And there's always traffic in there. And they saw somebody, and you wouldn't identify yourself. That's what I saw for about more than 10, 15 minutes, and it was getting really, I said, this man's not going to cooperate. I hope this doesn't go really bad, you know, which he can, you know, because I've never seen such non-compliance in all my career. You know, I think the officers were professional, especially Ernie, as to his approach in talking to you, trying to develop some type of rapport with you, and you wouldn't give in. You wouldn't give in. So there we are, like, we're getting tired of waiting, and they're checking our status because it's taking too long. You know, I always thought, oh boy, we're going to have the SWAT team here because this is abnormal, very abnormal. Oh yeah. So then that's it. I just waited for Ernie to continue, and finally, after I couldn't tell you if it was 30 minutes or I couldn't give you an exact time frame. Finally, okay. Names are exchanged. I'm just watching, still illuminating that rifle because I don't trust rifles. Or somebody that's not cooperating with the law, doesn't respect the law. What is his intention? I'm a uniform officer. You know, I've never seen you before, by the way. I didn't know you. And other than that, finally everything calmed down after an extended amount of time. And again, I congratulate these officers for giving you such tremendous amount of leeway, and just standing back there. Please give us your name. We're here because there was a call of shots fired, especially from the bridge, or from that area rather, the area, the banks, the riverbank. And he was just doing his job, you know. So all I was doing is basically just there, lighting you up, and then they would move around this way, that way. And finally, thank God, you decided to give in and cooperate. To my opinion, that was like, oh, thank God, we're not going to have something really bad happen here. And nothing happened, thank God.
Thank you for the answer. To your knowledge, was Mr. Rincon within the boundaries of the city park?
When I arrived, you were a little bit away, but it was so dark. Like I said, it was pitch dark. Couldn't tell you how far. But you were near it. And there had been more than 5 minutes that I had been en route. So I could have imagined if he had spotted you over here as you continued walking, you know, I couldn't tell you exactly as to where you were at, either by the park, in the park, or near the park. So it took me like 5 minutes to get there. By that time, everybody was there, all these other officers. So I got there and like, what's going on? He's got a rifle, I'll just let you up. That's my main priority. And that's it.
Did you perform an external pat-down on Mr. Rincon for other weapons in the encounter?
I never touched you.
Did Mr. Rincon attempt to flee from you?
No. You stood your ground. This is my property, I'm not moving. That's what you claim.
Would you describe Mr. Rincon as physically non-combative or combative during this encounter?
Combative, very, verbally combative. I'm not going to give you my name, I don't have to.
What did Mr. Rincon do to make you believe that he was dangerous during this encounter?
I've never seen anybody in all my years not comply with a police command. Especially when they're holding either an AR-15, AK-47, in your case it was a Ruger 22, which is a semi-auto.
Was Mr. Rincon under arrest during this encounter, to your knowledge?
Was what?
under arrest?
At that point, you were being detained to investigate as to why you were coming from the riverbanks, according to Mr. Elizondo. And where the riverbanks is, like I said, it's city property. But I didn't see you in there. Like I said, it's a 5-minute travel. You could have traveled from this point to your property while I was en route. That's all I can. It's very clear and very obvious.
Did you ask Mr. Rincon to produce his identification to you?
You were, not me, but I heard my fellow officers. You refused to give it verbally. You refused to provide a card, nothing. You just held on to that rifle for dear life.
Did Mr. Rincon comply with that request?
After more than 20 minutes of, I almost called it a recommendation from Ernie, Elizondo, to tell you, look, man, look at all the leeway we've given you. All I want to know is what's going on. Put that rifle in your hand and your defiance on my police commands is making me nervous. You know, just put it down, put it to the side. He never mentioned about it or threatened you of any arrest. No.
Were you wearing a body-worn camera during this encounter with Mr. Rincon?
Yes.
At approximately 12:43 a.m., April 27, 2019, you arrived in the area of 1102 South Meadow Avenue in Laredo, Texas, with your police cruiser. Is that correct?
Yes.
What prompted you to go to the location with the encounter with Mr. Rincon? Were you
called backup.
dispatch routine or?
I self-initiated. It's a heavy call. All the manpower, and I knew it wouldn't take me long to get there. It's called assisting crossing over on a dangerous call that could get out of hand.
What do you recall stating in general terms, if you cannot recall specifically what was said through dispatch regarding the officer's need for backup?
I don't recall that. All I remember is reading the narrative on the. I did hear initially subject by the park. We use a code 32, which is rifle, pistol. That's enough for me. You know, I cross over. I'm always late because it's a little distance away. You know, nothing's too far from. And Laredo's not that big. It doesn't take you that long to cross over with lights and siren.
How long would you estimate it took you to arrive to the scene?
I don't know, maybe under 5 minutes, or let's say a little over 5 minutes, I would say.
Okay.
Sometimes you forget to put the on-scene button. And in a call like that, you try to maintain radio silence. Radio silence, it's very vital. You know, we kept the radio silence because we knew that this could go sideways. It can go sideways. So we maintain a certain amount of radio silence. We had enough officers at the time. Yeah, enough. I mean, you can check just by hitting the button GPS, you'll see the amount of officers there. And you can determine, nah, they don't need me there. Unless they call you.
Okay. Let's go to exhibit number 4, which that would be your body camera from this incident. We're going to play from 0 seconds to 25-second mark.
It's a Ruger 1022. Yeah, it's a Ruger 1022 rifle. You guys know this guy?
Okay. Would you agree that this video section depicts that the location of the encounter with Mr. Rincon?
There's no way. It's just dark on top of a hood. It doesn't give me a location. All
After.
it does is give me minus 99.47 as longitude, latitude, I don't know, but it doesn't show me a location because I know it was pitch dark. Whatever illumination you have there is officers' flashlights, and I believe they used the hood of a car. So I couldn't tell you specifically where that car, I don't recall.
Let me try rephrasing that. Now that you know about the case and you saw a portion of it, would you agree that in this video section it depicts the location of the encounter with Mr. Rincon?
I don't see you anywhere.
Not at the time.
Yeah, I don't see you anywhere there. I see a rifle on that video. And you can rewind it, I don't see you there. I don't know
Okay.
who gave it to him or what. I don't see that on video.
Okay, let's move on to the other one. Would you agree there are 5 police department cruisers on scene?
I don't recall.
Would you agree that there are at least 7 officers on scene?
7? I don't recall.
Would you agree that you are speaking with Officer Elizondo at 26-second to 32-second video section? Let me play that real quick.
Please.
Yeah. Okay. Would you agree that you were speaking with Officer Elizondo in that section of the video?
Let me ask you a question. That body cam that you're showing me, who is R. Rodriguez?
They placed it there, the public information officer. So that's not an officer.
That's not an officer?
No.
I was just asking because I've never seen this.
Yeah.
I can't see the other officer, whoever's talking to you there. It's very brief. And you could like rewind a little bit.
So let me change that question. The time marks, I'm sorry. It's gonna be from 00 second to 0:32 to the 0 second to 32 second mark.
Okay.
Let me play that again. I'm sorry.
Ruger 1022. Yeah, it's a Ruger 1022. That's my voice.
Okay, so let me ask the question again. Would you agree you are speaking with Officer Elizondo on this video section?
Yes, I recognize my voice, but I wouldn't have recalled. But the audio that's my voice.
You are speaking to Officer Elizondo at that point?
Yes.
Does this video section depict you telling Officer Elizondo that the rifle he was inspecting was a 22 caliber rifle?
Ruger 1022.
Does this video section depict Officer Elizondo telling you that Mr. Rincon told him that he was the landowner of the property on which the encounter took place?
I don't recall.
You want for me to play it again? You want for me to play it again?
Yeah. It's a Ruger 1022. Yeah, it's a Ruger 1022 rifle. You guys know this guy? He says he's a landowner. I noticed he didn't respond.
Okay, so let me ask the question again. Does this video depict Officer Elizondo telling you that Mr. Rincon told him that he was a landowner of the property in which this incident took place?
No, I didn't hear that.
Let's look at the same exhibit at 2-minute 20-second mark through the 2-minute 40 seconds. I'm going to start it on the 2-minute 33 seconds.
Yeah, it comes out of yourself, middle.
Let me do a correction on the time. It's going to be 1:40, I'm sorry. 1:40 second. 1 minute 40 second.
Did you put the tags here by bottom of the Where you provided the tags here by bottom of the middle? George, Mary, Sam, 0798, Texas. Come back to a 4 F efficient. The audio is very poor. I can't hear the voices clearly or loud enough.
You're walking around with a gun at night. Yeah, pero ahorita. It could have been easy. It could have been, let me check the gun.
Yeah, it comes out of yourself, middle.
Okay. Does this section of video footage show you walking around the truck on the property near the encounter?
Yeah.
Does this section of video footage also show you calling in the license plate number?
Yes.
Does this section of video depict you being told by radio communications that this truck belonged to Ismael Rincon?
Yes. And the only reason I ran it, because it looked abandoned to me or inoperable. That's the reason why I ran it. You know, I was not aware that was your property, like I said. It's big, dark land connected to our park. I just decided to run it just in case. For anything, for any reason.
Does this video section depict you trying to open the door of the truck?
I don't see that.
Now let's go to Exhibit 3. One minute and 47-second mark. One minute 41-second mark. To 2 minute 35-second mark.
1399, 1332, someone dispatch in the Black Hills. They're writing in a break for fusion. Robot 16 over talking. That's in the other 10.
You get the detect here, fire about it, please.
Okay.
Where you provided the tags here by Fabio Segmento.
74, go ahead.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Does this video section demonstrate Mr. Rincon making several requests to other officers for Elizondo's name and badge number?
I don't recall.
Does this video section demonstrate Officer Elizondo walking away from the hood of his cruiser towards Mr. Rincon?
I don't recall that.
You want me to play it again?
Yeah. This is only my camera being used.
That is exhibit number 3, dash cam.
Dash cam of the vehicle.
Someone dispatch in the Black Hills. They're writing in a break for fusion. Robot 16 over talking. That's in the other 10.
You get the detect here, fire about it, please.
Okay.
Where you provided the tags here by Fabio Segmento.
74, go ahead.
Yes, let me ask the question again. Does this video section demonstrate Officer Elizondo walking away from the hood of his cruiser towards Mr. Rincon?
Well, I don't see his face at all. I don't know who those officers are. A lot of new officers. Don't recognize them. Their angle.
So you didn't recognize Officer Elizondo on the hood of his cruiser?
Yeah, but I saw his face. I don't see his face. I see a profile. I can't tell you who that is. Like I said, more people kept arriving apparently.
Does this video section demonstrate Officer Elizondo reaching and apparently taking Mr. Rincon's cell phone while he was recording the encounter?
No, I don't see that.
Do you need for me to play it again, or?
Yeah. I don't see him taking away anything.
Okay. All right, let's move on to the other question. Let's look at it from another angle. There's going to be a cell phone footage from this incident, exhibit 5A, 00 seconds to 38 second mark. 5A.
Any ID, bro? No. What's your
Meeting 0002 864
Why are we making
98.
issue with how
Porque it shouldn't be an issue, todo es mi propiedad. It shouldn't be an issue.
we just want to make sure, bro. You can record all your
1399, 1332, someone dispatch in the Black Hills.
Just give me your name.
¿Cómo se llama él?
Just give me your name.
They're writing in a break for fusion.
You see my name here.
No, él.
Robot 16 over talking.
You're gonna talk to him right now.
¿Cómo te llamas tú?
That's in the other 10.
What's your name?
Hey,
What's
¿cómo
your
te
name?
llamas?
Listen to me, bro. Listen to me.
Detect here, fire
I
about
just
it.
want your name.
¿Cómo te llamas?
Does this video section demonstrate Officer Elizondo approaching Mr. Rincon?
Only by voice. I don't see this. I only see the silhouette.
Does this video section demonstrate Mr. Rincon making requests for Officer Elizondo's name and badge number to the officers present?
I didn't hear that.
Want me to play it again?
Yeah.
Any ID, bro? No. What's your
Meeting
name?
0002 864
Why are we making
98.
issue with how
Porque it shouldn't be an issue, todo es mi propiedad. It shouldn't be an issue.
we just want to make sure, bro. You You can record all you want.
13 King 9 13 King 32, someone dispatch China Black Hill.
Just give me your name.
¿Cómo se llama él?
Just give me your name.
You're watching in Braveheart
You
Fusion.
see my name here.
No, él.
Purple 216 over.
You're gonna talk to him right now.
¿Cómo te llamas tú?
Let's give you on the chance.
What's your name?
Hey,
What's
¿cómo te
your name?
llamas?
Listen to me. Listen to me.
Direct your fire
I just want your name.
¿Cómo te llamas?
Okay, so does this video section demonstrate Mr. Rincon making requests for Officer Elizondo's name and badge number to the officers present?
I still don't hear it. The audio is not very good, but I do remember the time frame. It took you a long time to provide a name
Okay.
while you were being detained. And the officers were still showing such calmness, such professionalism, such control in a heated, that could get heated, just along somebody holding a weapon, refusing to hand it over with probable cause. And I just, like I said, it took an awful long time, but I heard some exchange of names there.
Okay. Move to the other question. Does this video section demonstrate Mr. Rincon's phone being taken from Officer Elizondo?
I don't see that.
Did Officer Elizondo ask Mr. Rincon to give him his cell phone?
I don't recall that.
Why did Officer Elizondo take Mr. Rincon's cell phone?
Objection calls for speculation.
If you know, you can answer.
But,
If you know.
oh, I don't know. I don't know. It's his decision. We have to ask him.
Would you say that this video section demonstrates Mr. Rincon willingly giving Officer Elizondo his cell phone?
I don't see any exchange.
Would you say that, that this video section demonstrates Officer Elizondo used force to grab the phone and hit and or push Mr. Rincon backwards in order to take possession of his cell
We
phone?
don't see that in the video.
Is there a name used by Laredo Police Department or its officers for this technique of taking someone's cell phone or other small property?
Is it what?
Is there a name used by Laredo Police Department or its officers for this technique to take cell phones or small property from people?
Well, me personally, when I arrest somebody, that phone's gone. I already got you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna waste time. So that phone is confiscated. I'll log it in. Most of the time, I log it in to avoid radio chatter. We need that channel 1 open. So, at the moment, like I said, that's the way I work. The minute I stop you, I know you're going in. I have a lot of arrests in my record. I've never had any reversals. So that's the way I did it. I would have done it. Or you ask me, is that the procedure? Yeah. But not always do you have an arrest. If the guy's cooperative, at a reasonable time frame, 3-4 minutes. But this was beyond, courtesy and a half of trying to make you understand, look, man, we're giving you a chance. We have probable cause. You're coming from over here. He alleges coming from over here. I didn't see that. I take his word for it. His reputation precedes him, and I follow. Just follow. It was his thing,
During this encounter at this time, was Mr. Rincon holding his phone an illegal act or crime?
Objection calls for legal conclusion.
You can answer.
Go ahead, say it again. Clarify it.
During this encounter at this time, was Mr. Rincon holding his phone an illegal act or crime?
Well, he was going to make a detention. You lose that phone immediately. That's it. Because there's a good chance you're going to go in. Because you're not complying with that rifle. I would have taken you in like that. That's me. But it was not my call. like I said, I'm more of a field officer. He's been a field officer, but I've been longer. You know, the minute I do that, I know that you're gone. I'm going to handcuff you forward or backward, don't matter. So there's no need to proceed with the recording. You're going to rely on my body cam. I've never had any issues.
Okay.
So that it's procedure. Some guys get freaked out. They panic. Oh, he's videotaping. Well, you're going to arrest him. You know, there's no need for him. I already got you. You know, like with my video cam. So you take the thing and you put it away. Turn it off. Whatever. Away. Because you'll be surprised. You stay with the phone, guess what you're going to do? You start recording the screen, and if you're not careful, an experienced officer immediately darkens or shuts the computer and lowers all the volume. We don't want none of this to be displayed. It's just common practice. It's just common practice. That's one of the reasons we take the phone. And then they post it on social media when they're in the detention cells. That's rookie mistakes, but you learn. But I already went through all of that. So did Ernie. You lose it. Temporarily, in most cases.
So as Mr. Rincon holding the phone, was it an illegal act or a crime?
In my opinion, no.
During this encounter at this time, was Mr. Rincon holding his phone and recording the encounter an illegal act or
Don't
crime?
forget the rifle.
Objection calls for legal conclusion.
I mean, you were holding a rifle too, buddy. You were holding a rifle, a cell phone, back and forth, and like, what's he gonna do? You know, record it, or what's he gonna do? It's obvious you don't like the law. You displayed it that night, you know, or have a problem with the law. Most people do not. 9 out of 10 encounters, people are so cooperative, especially in this area. I've never had anything like that happen. It was always the first time. But remember, you're limited to how much you can record me. Because I'm stopping you, and you got a rifle, and you're refusing to comply my orders, or fellow officer orders. He's got every reason to stop and free those hands away from everything. That's it.
So was Mr. Rincon holding the phone and recording, was that an illegal act or crime?
Objection asked and answered.
Holding the phone, you lost that the minute you were repeatedly asked to hand over the weapon. You lost that. Because they were going to detain you. Let me check that weapon. And let's see what's going on. Just, you know, who are you? Are you a trafficker? Are you from across the river? I don't know, a smuggler, something like that. We just needed to confirm. Okay. So we need to remove all of these things. You're protected by our body cams. If you think you're not, but you are. And cruiser cams, you know. So don't forget about that rifle. It took you forever to release that rifle. It was just like a very calm police officer. Most officers would have been different. Very calm. Very, very calm. It was kind of ridiculous in your part not to cooperate with us. And but
okay.
Luckily nothing happened.
Let's continue with the next portion. I'm going to go to exhibit number 3 at the 2-minute 35-second through 2-minute 50-second mark. So correction, 2-minute 24-second mark.
Okay.
Where you provided the tags here by Fabio Segmento.
74, go ahead.
George Mary Sam 0798 Texas. Come back to a Ford F-350.
Does this video section demonstrate Officer Elizondo directing Officer Fernandez to handcuff Mr. Rincon?
I didn't hear that.
Does this video section depict Mr. Rincon attempting to flee?
No.
Does this video section demonstrate that Mr. Rincon was threatening any of the officers?
I don't see the exchange of the rifle at that point, if you had surrendered it or not. So I don't know what, on this part, if it's this is the cruiser, right? Yeah.
Does this video section demonstrate Mr. Rincon being violent or acting as a threat to anyone?
At this moment,
In this video section that I played.
right here, right now, everything's calm. Everything's under control at this point. But it took 30 minutes to get it there. 20, 30 minutes. Excessive.
Does this video section demonstrate that there are at least 3 officers surrounding Mr. Rincon?
I don't know most of them. Yeah.
Does the video section demonstrate that Lieutenant Art Ramirez was within approximately 7 feet
He's the only
Mr. Rincon while he was being handcuffed?
Is that the civilian?
I believe that's him, yes.
Yeah. Yes, that's him.
Okay. If you know why Officer Fernandez directed by Officer Elizondo to handcuff Mr. Rincon?
I have no idea. I guess the decision was made by the lead officer, the one that made the encounter with you. He made a decision.
What-
We're gonna have to do something, you know.
Well,
Slow it down, you know, because you were very verbally aggressive, and it took forever to calm that tone and get it to a tone that's more comfortable. And then I guess that's when they decided to make the approach.
Okay. Was Mr. Rincon under arrest at this point?
You were being detained. Well, all of that could have been solved very quickly if you would have just followed instructions from the beginning.
Do the video sections presented thus far demonstrate that Mr. Rincon was asked to provide his personal identification to the officers on at least 2 or more occasions?
I remember more than that. You were refusing. No, I don't have to give you my ID. No, I do not have to identify. It took a long time to finally convince you to provide it.
To your knowledge, did Mr. Rincon comply with that request?
After that long wait, it almost seemed like a counseling to you, you gave in.
Let's look at exhibit number 4. Two-minute 35-second mark through 2-minute 50-second.
Yeah, it comes out of your cell phone.
Hey, there were 3 companies 16, just in grade 33, 20, Yes, you're right. Feature black pen.
Does this video section depict Officer Elizondo and Officer Fernandez reaching into Mr. Rincon's pocket and clothing area?
It's called a pat down for our safety.
Do you know what they were searching for?
Objection calls for speculation.
You can answer.
Good answer. Well, you might have other weapons, for all I know.
The time is 11:41. We're off the record. The time is 11:42. We're on the record.
Okay, Mr. Benavidez. Does this video section accurately depict Mr. Rincon protesting Officer Elizondo and Fernandez searching his pockets and person by stating, "No, no, illegal search, man, illegal search"?
I didn't hear that. But they have every right to search you at this point.
Need for me to play it again?
Sure. Yeah, it comes out of your cell phone.
Hey, there were 3 company 16, just 633, See up here,
That's an illegal search,
Wait,
man.
feature black pen.
Make sure that...
Okay, so let me ask the question again. Does the video section accurately depict Mr. Rincon protesting officers Elizondo and Fernandez searching his pockets and person by stating, "No, no, illegal search, man, illegal search"?
You did not physically resist, okay? But they have every right to search you. Every right. You're holding a rifle, you might have bullets in there, have another handgun, I don't know, a knife. And believe me, I've seen a lot of stuff that gets through you if you don't do a proper search. Because if we do arrest you, you're going to end up in the back seat. And if I didn't do a good search, guess what's going to happen? You had a jacket on, little bitty pistol like that, and you're done. The officer's done. You have to do a good pat down. I learned that from the jail, working there. It's extremely important. You just don't do it like that. No. You go in there, you know how to pat down after all these years. It's mandatory. You're going to get people hurt. But physically resisting, no. Just verbally.
Okay, does this video section depict Officer Elizondo taking Mr. Rincon's wallet or other articles of property off of Mr. Rincon's person?
I'm not sure what he was able to get out. It's too dark and not. He's searching you.
Okay. If you know, what was the purpose of Officer Elizondo taking Mr. Rincon's wallet?
Objection calls for speculation.
You can answer.
No, since you didn't want to identify yourself, you wanted to confirm either if you did or didn't at some point. I need to confirm. You might like have an ID to confirm who you are. If you were in our database, if run for warrants, stuff like that. Plus, number one is always weapons. Always. Always, always.
Okay. Move to the other question. Was Mr. Rincon required by any law to give his wallet to any officer at this scene?
For ID purposes, if you refuse to hand it over by your own volition, then carefully grab the wallet, preferably in front of the camera, so you can see what you're doing. You know? That way, the ID, I don't go in there and take everything out. No, just to see the driver's license and look at you and run traffic. I got confirmation that it is who he says he is. And like I said, after 30 minutes, they're still very calm. Very calm. I commend these officers. Such professionalism.
Do you want me to rephrase that question?
No.
Okay. Let's go to exhibit. Let's see on this exhibit, 3-minute 4-second mark through the 3-minute 8-second mark. 3 minutes, 1 second.
Oye, ¿tienes el ranking? ¿No sabes?
Okay. Does this section of video depict Officer Elizondo referring to Mr. Rincon as a cabron?
I didn't hear that. I heard the dispatch overpowering everybody.
You want me to play it again to see if you can catch it?
Sure.
Oye, ¿tienes el ranking? ¿No sabes?
Okay, so, does this section of video depict Officer Elizondo referring to Mr. Rincon as a cabron?
I didn't hear that.
Oh, okay. What does cabron translate into English under this circumstance?
I mean, I don't use that word.
If you know, did Officer Elizondo call Mr. Rincon a cabron because he protested the search?
Objection calls for speculation.
An answer.
I didn't hear him say cabron, so I can't.
At this time, was Mr. Rincon under arrest?
No, you were detained pending warrants checks. Pending serial number checks on the weapon. If it was clear, stolen, or whatever, missing. But just enough, it's enough to hold you, man. You're holding a rifle, you're refusing to comply with police commands that are legit. You know, like I said, they showed too much restraint.
All right, let's go to the 3 minute 42 second mark through 3 minute 46 second mark.
Answer the questions. 6124. Can you open one?
Does this video section demonstrate you, Officer Benavidez, telling Mr. Rincon to answer the questions?
Well, I hear something about a wallet. To hand over the wallet or something.
I'm going to play it again.
Yeah.
Answer the questions. 6124.
Yes, the question again. Does this section demonstrate you, Officer Benavidez, telling Mr. Rincon to answer the questions?
I don't hear that.
Okay.
The audio is poor.
Was Mr. Rincon being held handcuffed and in custody because he was not answering questions?
It's common practice to handcuff somebody after a 30-minute standoff, just to make sure what's going on. You know, we had a supervisor there, so he was monitoring. It's standards, just in case you might decide to run, which they have. It's all experience.
Was that a yes?
That you were what?
You want me to ask the question again?
Yeah.
Okay. Was Mr. Rincon being held handcuffed and in custody because he was not answering questions?
You were being detained because they decided to detain you. You know, that's their judgment, not my call.
What was he being detained for in handcuffs?
Number one, the initial, what I heard was you were coming from the park holding a rifle. You were approached, asked to hand over the weapon because of the area and the trafficking and all that, and the time of night, pitch dark. And you said, no, I refuse. I don't need to comply. It was just a friendly conversation. No, but I need to feel safe, the officer. I need to feel safe. I need to put the rifle down. And he just wouldn't comply. It was excessive, way beyond that couple of minutes. It should be only a couple of minutes, in my opinion. If you don't comply within 2-3 minutes, normally you're done. But these guys give you a lot of time. It was their decision. It wasn't my call, and I respect it.
Okay,
It's
officer.
mostly for officer safety. I'm sorry.
Officer, do you know what question or questions Mr. Rincon was required to answer in order to the encounter to end, as per your statement?
From what I heard, Ernie almost exhausted his vocal cords trying to get your name and for you to comply with all his commands. And he never got upset or anything like that. And it took that long to, I don't know what convinced you after that standoff. Nobody was being disrespectful, hollering out names. And it's just an unusual amount of time. It's not normal. I said, something's wrong. Something's not right. So after, for whatever reason, you just decided to comply. It took way too much time. In my opinion, it was a proper police stop because of the calls that were coming in from that area that you were coming from. Shots fired, shots being fired, all over the place. It's hard to pinpoint. And it just happens that you were coming from that one of those known areas. You know. So Ernie, just from what I can tell, was just trying to find out, hey, are you National Guard, Border Patrol, stuff like that, because you'll see them out there. And they'll comply. They got their X-ray, their infrareds, and I've seen them in civilian. I bumped into them all the time. I just did not understand why you wouldn't comply. I said, oh my God, this is going to get bad. So we need to show severe restraint, but we're just careful. And nobody interrupt the lead man, because that can cause problems. So we let Ernie take care of it. Experienced, he knew what he was doing. I'm not going to question it, because he made initial contact. I was 5, 6, 7 minutes away after the encounter. So like I said, it could have moved from over here to the area in question. It could have been, when I arrived, that you were headed this way, towards your area, your property. I don't know. It was just too dark, pitch dark.
Okay, let's stay on the same exhibit, 18-minute, 10-second mark to 19-minute, 3 seconds.
Listen up, man. Listen up. That's your problem. Kindly ask you, hey, you border patrol? That he is, you know, okay, see your ID. Whatever reason you think that you don't have the ID or something. That's your problem. That is your problem. If you do a better job of identifying yourself, late at night.
Who's lighting you up?
Carrying this.
Hang that's about to be exchanged.
Oh, report this, brother. Carrying this, late at night. It's not legal. Listen, that's your problem. You're not a good listener. Crossing the street, that's a public park. You own that side. That's a city park. Listen up. That's a city park that we patrol. There was just a shooting on the Mexico side where a lady on this side got shot. There's plenty of witnesses. They're all cops.
So this is approximately 15 minutes after Officer Elizondo took Mr. Rincon's cell phone and wallet. Does this section of video depict you directing Officer Fernandez to remove the handcuffs from Mr. Rincon?
No, I didn't hear that or see that. To remove, you said?
Uh-huh.
No, I don't recall that.
Does this section of video depict Mr. Rincon after receiving his cell phone from Officer Elizondo, activating the camera and recording Officer Elizondo and this encounter for the second time?
I will see that.
You want me to play this section again?
Yeah,
Or you want me to ask the question again?
we'll ask it.
Does this section of video depict Mr. Rincon after receiving his cell phone from Officer Elizondo, activating the camera and recording Officer Elizondo and this encounter for a second time?
Let me see it, please.
Listen up, man. Listen up. That's your problem. Listen up. Kindly ask you, hey, do you work patrol? Can you do a better job of identifying yourself? Late at night.
Just lighting you up.
Carrying this.
Hang that's about to be exchanged.
No, record this, brother. Carrying this. Late at night. Is not legal. Listen, that's your problem. You're not a good listener. Crossing the street, that's a public park. You own that side. That's the city park. Listen up. Listen up. That's the city park that you patrol. Okay? There was just a shooting on the Mexico side, where a lady on this side got shot. Okay? There's plenty of witnesses. They're all cops.
Okay, I see an exchange.
Okay, so let me ask the question again. Does this section of video depict Mr. Rincon after receiving his cell phone from Officer Elizondo, activating the camera and recording Officer Elizondo in this encounter for the second time? Do you see that?
I just see you with a phone in your hand. I cannot say that you were recording at that moment.
Okay.
All I know is that you have it in your hand.
Okay.
It was given to you, and there was a rifle right in front of you. It looked like it was about to be handed to you.
Okay.
That's what it looks like. I'm just guessing.
Does this video section demonstrate Officer Elizondo taking Mr. Rincon's cell phone from his hand for a second time?
No, I didn't see.
If you know, did Officer Elizondo turn off Mr. Rincon's cell phone recording application or function?
I don't recall that.
Does this video section that Officer Elizondo withheld Mr. Rincon's phone from him and then several seconds later placed it in his shirt pocket?
I didn't see that.
If you know, what was the reason for Officer Elizondo taking Mr. Rincon's cell phone
Objection calls for speculation.
for the second time? You can answer.
I never saw him do that.
Let's look at the same encounter on Exhibit 5B, 0-second mark to 38-second mark.
You know, that's your problem. That is your problem, man. If you do a better job of identifying yourself late at night, you're carrying this.
Hang that's about to be exchanged.
No, record this, brother. Carrying this late at night.
Which is not legal.
Listen, that's your problem. You're not a good listener.
Okay.
We're crossing the street. That's a public park. You own that side. But that's a city park that.
Public
listen
street.
up. Listen up. That's a city park that we patrol.
Okay.
There was just a shooting on the Mexico side where a lady on this side got shot. Okay.
Okay. Does this video section depict essentially the same account as my Exhibit 4, the previous video that I presented to you?
Which is what?
Does this video, does this exhibit, does it depict the same account as the previous exhibit I showed you previously? Does it show the same
No.
account, no?
Well, I know
You
at
don't
this
see-
point, I think you have the rifle, right? At this point, you have your rifle?
No.
I know.
So you don't think this is the same
So-
account as a previous incident I showed you?
I really don't recall that. I've never seen Ernie in this face, in that position. That's the first one you show me, like that, facing towards us, that I can completely recognize him. the full profile.
What do you see differently?
I see this. In other pictures, I see the side profile. This is the first time I see his face, like this.
Okay.
It's a different angle.
Okay. Different angle, but would you say it's the same section or the same?
Well, it's rolling on a tape, man. It's just rolling. It doesn't stop. I don't stop it. It just keeps going.
Okay. Let's move on to
It's a loop, I can't stop it.
If you know why was Mr. Rincon held for approximately 20-minute time period?
Because you failed to comply with a lawful police order. And that was way too much time.
What crime was Mr. Rincon suspected of having committed?
I would have arrested you for failed to ID. Number one. After 20 minutes, and if I saw you coming from our park, that's a factor. Because I'm spotting you in our city park. That's a different ball game right there. You're trespassing. It's after curfew. What are you doing? Stuff like that. But I was not the initial guy. It was Ernie. That's what I would have done.
Okay, so you said failed to ID. Do you know what Texas Penal Code failing to ID would be here in Texas?
Well, you got to have probable cause. The probable cause was there. Person with rifle, shots fired by the riverbanks, and then we happen to see you coming from that area. That's enough, just to check you out.
Let me rephrase the question. You said failed to ID, so do you know what failed to ID? Let me give you a specific code, 38.02. Do you know what that code says, or do you know what it reads, or what are the elements?
You got to have probable cause, and at that point, he had probable cause. Like I said, I wasn't the lead man. I was an assisting man. I'm just giving you my opinion, and my opinion is different from every other officer's.
Right.
But at that point, if the call is coming from over here from the park, I have every reasonable, and holding a rifle and being a little hostile or being hostile,
right,
it gives me the right. Something's not right. He's hiding something, or he's wanted, or he's doing something he's not supposed to. Late at night in pitch darkness, it's not a good thing to approach, especially if you're alone. And I don't see why, at that point, you couldn't just cooperate a little bit. It took so much.
Okay, so you're not answering my question. My question is if you know what 3802 Texas Penal Code failed to ID.
Off the bat, I don't.
Okay. Do you recall Mr. Rincon stating that Officer Fernandez injured his shoulder when Officer Elizondo and he searched his pockets?
I don't recall.
Do you recall that Mr. Rincon requested EMS assistance on at least 3 occasions after Fernandez injured his shoulder?
I don't recall, but I believe they showed up later on. I don't recall.
You don't recall?
No, I don't recall.
Why was EMS not contacted?
Honestly, I don't know. There were several groups at that point after everything was controlled. The different groups, I got away from you once the handgun was released, checked, it was clear. You finally ID'd yourself. It had to be done kind of a little bit the hard way, cuff you, stuff like that.
What did Lieutenant Ramirez, batch number 640, say to you about how this encounter
I never
was
spoke
handled?
Hearsay.
You
I
can
never spoke
answer.
to him.
Yeah. Officer Benavidez, I know that you have been since retired, but do you believe that your conduct and actions during this encounter with Mr. Rincon did not violate any Laredo Police Department policies existing at that time?
Objection calls for legal conclusion.
You can answer.
I have my body cam. That's the only requirement. I can cross over on high risk calls. There's nothing that says I can't. I had my body cam. That's a big violation. I can get you suspended 10 days. I had it on. I made sure I had it on. It's exonerated me in pretty much all the complaints I've ever had. They end up being made of fools in the screen, believe it or not. Because people yell at me, scream at me, trying to get me angry. It doesn't work.
So besides...
I follow procedures. I never got a, hey, you did this wrong. Ramirez was there, Lieutenant Ramirez was there, monitoring, making sure everything's calmly done. He doesn't like to be fighting. None of that. I know him. He used to be my lieutenant. So no, he never said good, bad, or you did wrong. No.
So you didn't think you violated any Laredo Police Department policy?
To my knowledge, I was never approached with anything. No.
Do you believe that your conduct and actions during this encounter with Mr. Rincon did not violate any laws or statute existing at that time?
Objection
No.
calls for legal conclusion.
Are you familiar with the United States Appellate Court for the Fifth Circuit ruling in Turner versus Driver from February 2017?
No. Are you familiar with the stop and frisk? It gives us that power with reasonable suspicion. We had more than reasonable suspicion. So I'm not familiar with that case you're talking about, but I don't know if you're aware of that federal law.
Did you have any training regarding this ruling for citizens' right to record public servants in the performance of their official duties prior to this encounter?
Of course. But there's a limitation. The minute that I made a decision, you're going to go in, you're going to get arrested, you lose that privilege. It's no longer, and it needs to be turned off, away from you, to keep you from recording it on social media, like I said, copying everything that I'm doing and sending it out. It makes, that's when a lot of the officers get in trouble. They get yelled at and suspended.
Are you familiar with the United States Supreme Court ruling in Terry v. Ohio from 1968?
Yeah, I believe so.
Just say yes or no.
Is that the one where shooting at somebody as they're fleeing?
I mean, if you don't know, you can answer no.
Terry versus Ohio, I think it is. I'm not sure.
Okay.
No.
Did you have any training regarding this ruling, a detainment and external pat-down for suspect believed to be armed and dangerous prior to this encounter?
Yeah.
You had training?
Oh, yeah. Constant.
On Terry v. Ohio?
You just how to search, what not to search.
Okay. For purposes of possible award of punitive damage to the plaintiff in this case, can you approximate your net worth in dollars at this time?
No. What does that have to do with anything?
Do you recall how many vehicles do you have?
What does that have to do with anything?
That's for court purposes.
He has a claim for punitive damages, whether he's entitled to them or not, is at issue in the case.
Oh, okay. I've got 2 cars and 1 motorcycle.
Do you recall how much real estate do you own or do you have an interest in?
I have a home.
How much were you paid by Laredo PD last year?
I was an hourly. It was at $42 some per hour. So make the math. Times 20, 80.
80,000?
No, I multiply my base salary was 46. Multiply that 20 by 80. I never saw my check. It was always direct deposit. The wife took care of the rest.
Do you know how much you were paid the whole year?
I'm gonna check through my bank account too, because
If you don't know, you can do it.
well, it's somewhat, no, I don't know.
Okay. This is the last question, Mr. Officer Benavidez. If this encounter were to take place today, would you conduct yourself exactly as you did back on April 27, 2019, or would you change anything?
Objection calls for speculation.
You can answer.
Well, everything, like I said, I'm nobody to tell these guys what to do. But I kind of congratulate them, because there was always a possibility in situations like that that get out of hand and people get hurt. But I respected them because I've worked with them and they know what they're doing, especially Ernie. I've worked with him many years. SWAT, everything. You know, so no, I wouldn't change anything. They have a lot of restraint. I have to commend them over and over. You don't see that anywhere. Go to Austin, go to San Antonio, you'll be down in a second. And I can tell you, as a fellow officer, it's happened to me. And I didn't do nothing. Here in Laredo, it's a little different. It's different.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming. This concludes our deposition, Mr. Benavidez.
I reserved, and we would like to review if the transcript is made for signature.
This is the end of the deposition. The time is 12:16. We're off the record.